So the movie starts. We're in a helicopter. It's World War II. There's lots of soldiers. The camera pans. It's men, 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 and women. The face of a woman is in the middle of the screen. She looks really beautiful, but she looks a little bit particular because she's half Indian and half American. We're wondering, what is she doing here? I don't know if you know, but during World War II, the life expectancy of a British spy was between 6 weeks to 10 weeks. This woman, her name is Noor, codename Meline. When she decided to join the British Secret Services as the first female operator, she knew that she had very, very limited chances of survival. But she was strongly motivated. She had two motivations. The first one was that she wanted to help the Allies get rid of the Nazi tyranny, which is a good motivation. She was even more motivated by the fact that she had left her Jewish fiancé back in France. Her second agenda, which was a bigger one, more deeply rooted, was that she thought that if there were to be an Indian superhero in Europe World War II, it would help build a bridge between the English and the Indians. So back to the story. The door of the helicopter slides open, the men put their parachutes on, and they jump. Noor puts her parachute on, she takes a deep breath, and she jumps as well. And this is the beginning of the story. She has something that the others don't have. She's a woman, so she has a set of weapons that men don't have. She'll be able to seduce the Germans. The fact that her physique is so unique makes her more identifiable. So it's more dangerous for her because she's soon going to become the most wanted British spy in France. So this is what the story is going to be about. It's going to be a cat and mouse story. It's kind of like a Matari kind of story. The more she's going to get deeply involved with the Germans, the more the Gestapo is going to close on her. They don't really know who she is, but they're going to get more and more clues. And the fact that she has this very specific feature is going to be a trouble for her, even though at the beginning it was kind of something that helped her out. So here we're in a film. It's not like a wartime film, like with bombs and explosions and like very male targeted. We're more on a biopic of a woman that's very little known by the public, but she has probably one of the greatest destiny of World War II. Well, it's a tragic destiny, but her story is amazing. It's incredible. She did a lot for the Allies, and we can thank her a lot for being able to defeat the Nazis in the end. But the thing is that we have a strong woman, a strong character that's very shy. She's very smart. She's very intelligent. She's very pretty as well. I've said it already 10 times, but she was really pretty. And that is why for the actress, we're going to have a woman that has also kind of a unique kind of physique. It's going to be Golshifteh Farahani, who is who's French-Iranian, but she could look Indian. She has like this mixed physique. She was just in the Jarmusch film here in Cannes. We're going to see her in Pirates of the Caribbean. So she's going from a career that's more author to a more Hollywood career. So she's going to get more known by a larger audience. The magazines are crazy about her. She's doing interviews all over the place. All the big haute couture brands want to dress her. They love her. So I think she's a very, very good bet. And this gives a great opportunity at an Oscar nomination for Best Actress. The film is going to be a European production, kind of in the style of maybe The King's Speech, meaning like it's going to be English language with like high production value. We're going to be able to do a French-UK co-production. We'll raise 7 million euros for that from financing. And since it's going to be a 10 million euro budget, we'll be able to get 3 million from equity in India because of the director, who's Indian. His name is Naveen, and he was the director for Angry Indian Goddesses. So he's not very well known from the big public, but he's used to like big budget productions, and he's very, very attached to the story, being Indian himself. Because of the subject and the director, will be able to get the funding from India as well. I think we have a package that's really, really great for festivals. We have a Iranian French actress, we have a Indian director, we have a European co-production. The film will be shooting in October, November. It will be ready for Cannes next year. We're hoping for Cannes. This is where we want to launch it. And then from there on, it's probably going to be the road to the Oscars. Basically, we're going to have a script ready, and with this type of package, with this type of cast, this type of budget, this type of story, this type of English language film, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to pre-sell everything in Toronto. So we'll be able to send you scripts whenever you want.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jordan.
Bye.
So the film I'm here to talk to you today is the new project from Meline, who directed Samsara and Angry Indian Goddesses. So this is codenamed Madeline. It's based on the true story of a woman named Noor, who was born to an American mother and an Indian father, grew up on the outskirts of Paris, and as such, really had quite a cosmopolitan upbringing. Her father passed away when she was quite young, which forced her to really step up as head of her family and, support her mother and her siblings. As she grows, she develops a passion for writing, is into the arts, and she falls in love with a young pianist named Marek, who happens to be a Polish Jew. The two of them, their lives are turned upside down when France is invaded by the Nazis. So Noor and her family flee to London, where all of them become involved in the war effort. Noor specifically really wants to do something meaningful. Her mother and siblings are volunteering for the Red Cross, but Noor is like, I really want to do something where I feel like I'm going to make a meaningful impact on the war effort. So she signs up to be a radio operator. She goes through the training process and is recognized for her strong ability. But she's confronted by one of the military commanders who has obviously done some background research on her and is like, your family has ties to the monarchy in India. How can we trust you, considering the fact that Britain and India are at odds? And how can you prove your loyalty? And this news comes as a complete surprise to Noor. She had no idea that her family had this tie to, Indian royalty. But she takes it in stride, and she comes back with, I'll deal with this later. I've accepted who I am, but and my fight with Britain, that can wait. Right now, what's important to me is making a difference in the war effort, because I'm standing up for injustice, no matter what kind of injustice it is. So she goes through her training process and is parachuted into Nazi-occupied France. The average lifespan for a radio operator at this time was maybe 6 to 10 weeks. Her odds were really, really poor. She isn't deterred. She does everything that she can to relay information back to Britain and help with the war effort. So things like where the enemy is, organizing supplies, and eventually the information that she helps to provide assists with the Normandy invasion, thus the liberation of France from Nazi occupation. But of course, over this time, her comrades are killed or captured. She's eventually left alone, and ultimately is captured by the Gestapo. So it's very much a story of one woman's effort to really make a difference. She, she doesn't have any kind of bias based on, her own Indian origin. She's like, what, this is a problem, and I want to address it. It's very much, a courageous story, a story with a strong female lead. In terms of the casting, I would say, Frida Pinto would be a great consideration as a lead actress who could carry this film. For the supporting roles, I think this would be, a higher budget film, maybe in like the $18 to $20 million realm. So we would need a strong cast to really help support that. So, for instance, in the role of Marek, I was thinking someone like Jesse Eisenberg. In the role of the military commander who reveals this heritage to her, I would suggest somebody like, for instance, Mark Rylance or Hugh Bonneville. And in terms of Noor's father, whom she's quite close to, I was thinking Irfan Khan from The Lunchbox. The director is Meline, whose last film, Mongrel International, sold quite successfully. Angry Indian Goddesses really looked at Indian women in a fresh, contemporary way. So I think that Meline, really understands, the female voice and is, sensitive to, directing a film with a strong female protagonist. Also, he's done films like Valley of the Flowers, which is like a sweeping 2-century epic. So I really think that he has the chops to direct, a project of this scale. And I really think that it really taps into the zeitgeist right now. It's in the vein of a film like The Imitation Game, which takes a marginalized war hero and brings him back into the spotlight. This film really does continue in that vein. Not only was Noor a woman, she was also a woman of color. So bringing those kinds of stories to audiences, I think is really important right now, and is something that will really resonate with theatrical audiences internationally.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Codename Meline, and I've prepared a couple of flyers here, as would a sales agent. And there's one each.
Thanks.
Something that was whipped up in a couple of hours
Yeah.
in Cannes, which is a record. So we're here to talk about Codename Meline. This is a sweeping epic tale of survival in World War II. It's about Noor Inayat Khan, who was born in Russia in the early 20th century, to a father who's an Indian and a mother who's an American. There's the Russian Revolution, and they have to flee, and they make a house in Suriname, just outside Paris. The family grows. They have more children, and Noor becomes this wonderful young woman who yearns for, who loves literature, who loves music, and who studies philosophy. And then love blossoms. She meets a Jewish, Polish guy, and everything seems so well. Until the father dies. And being somebody who is very, very mature, she decides that this is the time that she has got to be the breadwinner of the house, the pillar of the house. So, and she gets her act together, but just as things were going rosy for the whole family, it's World War II, and the Nazis are knocking on the gates of Paris. So it's up to Noor now to decide whether should they leave or should they stay. And they decide to resettle in London, where she discovers that she's of Indian royalty, which throws her life into chaos. But the common thread that she realizes that she's there to fight injustice. And knowing that the Nazis are in her home in France, the only way for her to get back at them is to work for the British Secret Service. And then she becomes a radio operator. And the only way she could get back to the Nazis is for her to be parachuted down to Nazi France. And she does that. And this is her story. This is her struggle for liberation. This is a story about a woman, a young woman who's a Muslim with strong values and with conviction. She's trying to find it. She's trying very hard to fight for not just her name and her identity, but for the only thing that she knows, which is freedom. And this is based on a true story. It's Noor Inayat Khan, who in France, Germany, as a radio, who in France is playing a cat and mouse game with the Nazis, who's very, very hot on her heels. And the Nazi officer Karlanger, he is in, he's looking at this Meline as this entity, this person. Is it a man? Is it a woman? Not knowing that, he's up against the unlikeliest hero in the World War II archives, which is Noor Inayat Khan, codename Meline. So it's going to be directed by Meline, who has done Ayurveda and Samsara, which has gone on to international film festivals abroad. It's a drama thriller in Hindi, French, and English. So it's a very, very international, it's got a very, very international feel and look. It's a sweeping tale in the veins of The English Patient or The Black Book. It's in development, so we're coming up with the first draft of the script soon, with a proposed start of principal photography sometime in first quarter of 2017, and with a fall-winter delivery date. It comes with a price tag of 8.5 million, and the suggested cast would be Marion Cotillard, Taha Rahim, internationally known Meline Cumberbatch, Ewan McGregor, and Tilda Swinton. And this is codename Meline for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, can I use the phone to see the time, or
Yeah,
it's okay?
please.
To be, I think it's 5 minutes. So, and then let's go. Sorry. So I'm here to tell you about this very new and exciting project that we have from this hot house Indian filmmaker, Meline, who is one of the great art house filmmaker in an industry that mostly produces very commercial films. And it's called, its tentative title at least is Codename Meline. It is basically a character-driven period drama that tells a real-life story of an Indian princess that somehow during World War II was turned into a spy on the German Nazis who were in France, and became an unlikely hero for France, for the UK, and for, well, basically the entire Allies. So to tell you, it's a film that is going to take us from the snowy palaces of St. Petersburg, where the young Noor, that's the name of our character, grew up, or at least was born, before her parents fled to France, where she will grow up. So it's going to be the Paris of the roaring 20s, the glorious 20s, with all these characters and all of the environment of the artistic Paris of the time. And then we're going to move to London, where our character, now a young woman, will decide to become a spy, some sort of Indian Mata Hari, because that's how the film is going to kind of depict her, and go on and go to France and become her hero for this all during the war. So the film is kind of a mix, let's say, between a new Mata Hari, our hero is a kind of Indian Greta Garbo in that sense, and let's say some elements of Quentin Tarantino in Glorious Bastards, but through an Indian filter, of course. We are with this is a film of a director who is a mostly art house director who produced and directed films that were quite intimate, quite tackling on subjects that were mostly, let's say, linked to spirituality or smaller subjects, let's say. And here it's quite different. It's his biggest and most international friendly project so far. It's going to be a co-production between India, the UK, and France, with a budget of $10 million. And it's a period drama with high production value. It has spy elements. It has a tragic love story because our main character falls in love during her youth with this young Polish Jewish pianist who tragically will end up in the camps. And the involvement of the character in the spying system is also related to that. And we'll have beautiful costume by legendary costume designer Milena Canonero, who worked for Wes Anderson and Sofia Coppola. So this is really a bigger project for our director, and with a large target audience, mostly women, 30 plus. But with the type of big show that the film will be, it's sure to attract many different type of audiences. But at the same time, as I say, it's an art house film. premium art house. So it will have many different layers. It will contain the themes that we found in Meline previous films, such as spirituality and identity. This is a film about a woman who's a very modern woman. It's a woman that was Indian but grew up in France, found out she was a princess by blood, and decided to fight with the UK, who at the time was the enemy of India, kind of. So she's a woman who was at the crossroads of the old world and the new world, of the old continent and the new continent, if we can say that. And it's a film, and she was a spy. So you have this element of identity that's going to run throughout the film. It's going to be very interesting. And so for the cast, we thought about many different actresses. We thought we might cast a big star like Frida Pinto, but it felt better to have an actress that is not that is not already picked, but is going to pick, and who the director knows how to direct. So we decided to have Sarah Jane Diaz, who was in his previous film, which was called Angry Indian Women, and who's a rising star in India and who's going to be a big star worldwide when people see her performance. And so opposite her, we have a young, beautiful Nils Schneider, who was in Xavier Dolan's first films as she will be her love interest. And Daniel Brühl is attached to guest star as a Nazi officer, kind of looking for her in this whole spy story and game of cat and mouse that the film is also going to show. So principal photography for the film is starting this October. And the film will be shot mostly in Paris and London, with some shooting also happening in Russia at the beginning of the film. And we're looking for completion for fall 2017. So we think the film will be perfect for Berlin. And well, to sum up, so this is the first biopic of a very important person and hero of World War II that we don't know yet. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good evening. We're at Cannes 2016, Tuesday, May the 17th, and before me is the jury of the Cinando Best Seller Award, the first award ever given by the Marché du Film at Cannes. Immediately to my right, we have Norio Hatano of Long Ride, the Japanese distribution company. Then Rafael Verdugo, who is not Spanish but French, at Cité Films. Ira von Giananth at the famous Procino in Germany, a distribution company like Long Ride. Rafael is a production and financing company.
And sales agents.
And sales agents as well. And lastly but not least, Dylan Liner from Sony Pictures Classics, of course, in the United States. The jury has just discussed and chosen two winners for the first Cinando Best Seller Award, plus a third finalist and an honorary mention. And they're here to discuss, however, the art of the pitch. In other words, essential points of what is very important when you're pitching to do, or very important not to do. So I would ask each of the four people here to maybe name 2 points, or having seen 13 young sales agents pitching the same project, codename Meline, a character-driven, as one said, a character-driven period epic, which really exists and is a fascinating project, which is here. I would ask each of the distinguished executives here to talk about 2 points which are essential as a sales agent when you're pitching a project. Who would like to begin? Okay, Dylan Liner, Sony Pictures Classics.
I think what we all discovered was that being personable is really key, and being conversational, and somebody who can engage through dialogue and really whet our appetite for what the project is going to be. It doesn't take a full explanation of the story or all of the elements in the movie, but just enough to get us to want to know more, to read more, to see more, to engage further. And the second point, I think, is to know the project that they're selling, not to be selling a project that they would like to make themselves or that they would like to see, but to serve the film and to serve the filmmaker that they are engaged with selling. And I think if they do that and they do a good job of that, then they are serving their client, they're serving the film, and ultimately serving the audience.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Well, for me, it's essential thing is we as a buyer listen to many sales agents or many projects. So just like Dylan is saying that, well, simply sometimes quite best to listen to. We should listen more. Simply pitch, simple words is something drive us to go into the more interest into the project. That is quite important.
So you thought some of the pitches were slightly too involved,
too much mentioning so many elements, so many storyline,
Okay, that's one point. Would you like to mention a second point, or?
Well, second point is, sales agent is sometimes trying to be very much pushing the project. We would like to listen to some softly spoken, gently in the voice is quite sometimes accessible for us to open mind, listen to the guy.
Which was the case in one of the finalists, yes.
Yeah.
More points.
For me, it's important to talk to a sales agent who's on my level. So for me, it's important that he knows what director he's representing, and he should do some background checks. And the other thing is also kind of important for me, all the information about the shooting start date, the delivery, what kind of festival would be suitable for this special movie, the budget, of course, how it's financed, co-production. This is always helpful if the sales agent comes by himself with the information.
Yes, I thought it was interesting, for example, that the director of this project is Meline, and the explanation says that his first film, Cinando, was a commercial hit, but nobody mentioned how much money it made, for example. And some people, I think, weren't quite accurate about the director, but that's one. Did you have a?
No, I know some of his work and Meline's work, and it's like he's a very strong female director. He does put very strong female characters on the screen, and one of our winners, she knows the last movie he did, so it's like very few of them knew the last movie, but then they mention it also. Then it crosses over to us as a buyer, because then we know we're really on the same level again.
Yes. And finally, Raphael.
I would stress the importance, in my view, of the conciseness. Yes, as you said, Noyo, it's very important that you have in mind that we have in front of us people who are listening hundreds of pitch every day, and especially when you arrive at the end of the market. So it's very important to be concise, but also that the people in front of us understand, first of all, what is at stake in the film, what is the confrontation, so that because the film is, after all, a confrontation between characters with a special goal, special ambition, and also what is original in the film, what is unique, because you have thousands of films presented or proposed on the market, what is unique for this film, and also the adequation between the director and this story and the content of the film. So we are not selling ordinary material, we are selling a prototype and very unique film, each film, yeah. And it is the reason why a buyer would be interested to know more, as Dylan said. If it is just another spy movie, another action movie like this, why? We already have many of them on the shelves in the catalog, so we need to bring to the market something unique and something special.
And the character, the heroine, was extraordinary, unique in many ways.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
Because we have first of all, I think all of these people had an added challenge, which was pitching to 4 different people, where oftentimes in these meetings it's one-on-one or one-on-2. So that added an element of, kind of fear, I think, in some cases, or anxiety. But one of the things is it's very important that a seller know who he or she is selling to. And actually, the 3 of our distribution companies all release the same kind of movies and have shared many titles in common. So there were several that weren't sensitive to the kinds of movies that we release, and the ones that we ultimately selected and we felt did the best job, not only served the material, but also actually spoke to us as distributors
Yes.
and candidates for a film like this.
Yes. My last question, what impressed you about the 13 sellers? Because the sales agent role is rather like many people don't know what they do. I think it's underappreciated, and it is like the missing link between far more famous roles of distribution, exhibition and production. But was there something which impressed you about many of the people?
Well, one thing is, if a sales agent doesn't do his or her job well, these movies may not ever get made, because they really are the catalyst, in a lot of cases, to finding financing and finding distribution. And so they also work a lot in a vacuum, and I say that as a compliment to you as a sales agent. I mean, the really good ones, they need to start the ball rolling. They are the first link in the chain.
And Raphael is the ex-head of the French Sales Agents Export Association, ADEFNA. Could you have the final word maybe about sales agents?
Oh, it's difficult to have final word, but I totally agree that
First word and last word.
We agree that but we have to stress the importance of what we call the pitch. The pitch is really to very briefly explain why it is important for a buyer to interest himself in the film among the 100 of them that are presented. How we can distinguish yourself on this film from the mass of it. And this is very difficult. It's not a simple exercise. You should really stress the importance of this part of the business, because as Dylan said, it can kill the film or make the film exist, because you can perfectly destroy the interest of the film by badly pitching it. When it is a confused story, you don't know what is at stake, suddenly you have no interest for it. And there's, in certain cases, you are addressing your pitch to the perfect distributor, but you are not the perfect. If you do not explain the film perfectly in adequation, you are missing the perfect distributor for the film.
Yeah.
So it's really a very delicate operation, which you should not underevaluate. It's very critical, I think.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
your time, your knowledge, and your dedication to this business. Thank you.